Hi neighbor, we are so excited to welcome you back for our 7th season.
We can't wait to highlight more of the community leaders, organizations, and events that make Boone the town it is.
To start off the season, we're exploring some local businesses that strive to make a difference with volunteer-based programs.
We'll take a look at Wine to Water's local and global opportunities, Farm Cafe's mission of feeding all, and the Blue Ridge Conservancy and the Hunger and Health Coalition.
I'm Laird Davis.
I'm Annie Jones.
And I'm John Park. Join us as we say, Hi neighbor.
Wine to Water began as a simple idea aimed at fighting water-related fatalities in the community. But today, it has successfully expanded beyond the United States. I'm excited to welcome back our first guest of the season, Juliette DiRienzo, who is no stranger to the Hi Neighbor Hot Seat. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Juliette.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be back. It feels like home.
So can you tell me a little bit about Wine to Water and their mission?
Yeah, for sure. So Wine to Water, it's located here in Boone, North Carolina, just right on King Street. And our mission pretty much is to support the life and dignity for all through the power of clean water.
Awesome. And what does your position entail at Wine to Water?
So I am the content strategist, which is kind of complicated, but pretty much I just do marketing. So my goal is to tell the stories of not only those we work with, like volunteers or our global advocates, but those in the communities that we install those like clean water systems.
Awesome. And what made you get involved with Wine to Water?
I could have joined corporate America right after college, made that $30,000 right off the bat, but I wanted to add something good to this world. And so I figured nonprofit was the way to go. Plus, storytelling is my passion. I was a PR major here at App State, so I get to tell the stories through all different perspectives, and I love that I get to stay in Boone too.
So awesome.
Yeah.
So for people that want to get involved, what's the best way for them to reach out and get involved and volunteer?
Sure. So there's plenty of different ways to get involved at Wine to Water, whether that's volunteering in the office. You can all sorts of events or you can host all sorts of events to spread the cause of clean water as well in the area. Also, you can travel with us. We have our global experiences, which we call, and then anyone who comes with us, we call global advocates. And we really hone in on partnering with the communities that we enter. This is kind of a tangent off of your question, but one of the things that attracted me to Wine to Water was we don't just enter into a community, drop off these clean water filters and get out. We really value education, making sure that the filters we're providing, the water filters we're providing, are educated. People know how to use them, people know how to clean them, so that once we leave, they can operate without us. They can provide clean water for themselves, whether that's fixing the wells or finding clean water sources themselves.
That's really, truly amazing.
Yeah, these people are incredible. They care about the communities we enter. We're not just there to drop off some equipment, post it on our social media. We are there to invest in those communities.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So because you're based out of Boone, do you feel like a lot of your volunteers are usually App State students?
Yeah, for sure, which is awesome. I've already had 2 interns from App State, so in the communications department. App State students are the best workers in the world. I can say that myself. I've supervised 2 interns now, which if anyone wants to, they can intern with Wine to Water. That's a huge thing you can definitely do to help volunteer. Next week, actually, we're going to be at the internship fair looking for interns. So we have all different types of departments App State students can help out with as well.
Oh my gosh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And what do you envision for the future of Wine to Water?
Goodness, probably just expanding into more areas. Hurricane Dorian just happened, and so we actually just sent 700 water filters down to the Bahamas. So looking to expand our disaster relief efforts is definitely one of those things we want to expand in, but also our different locations. So we have Nepal, we have offices in Myanmar, we have an office in East Africa, Tanzania, the Dominican Republic, and Colombia. So just looking to expand, looking for partnerships. So if any other country wants to create a partnership with Wine to Water, we are there to support that for sure.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming back to speak with me today about everything Wine to Water is doing to better our community. Coming up, John Park shows us the ins and outs of F.A.R.M Cafe and how volunteers are constantly focused on feeding all, regardless of means.
Hi neighbor, my name's John Park. I'm here at Farm Cafe with Renee, a volunteer of 7 years here at Farm Cafe. We're here to talk about the mission of Farm Cafe. So, can you tell us about Farm Cafe and the mission that you have here?
So Farm Cafe stands for Feed All Regardless of Means, and what we do on a daily basis is we try to make sure that people who are down on their luck are able to get a meal in a restaurant setting where all are treated the same, and we try to treat them with dignity, and they can volunteer an hour in exchange for a meal. And so the cafe has been here for 7 years with this mission as our main driving force, and we're very pleased to have a fabulous community that has supported us in this effort.
Awesome. So, I know Farm Cafe, long-standing tradition. So what exactly is it that you do here at Farm?
Well, my name's Renee, and I am the executive director at Farm Cafe. I'm also the executive chef, and so my job on a daily basis is people often come in and say, so you run the cafe. Honestly, the cafe runs me. That's how it works. So I come in on a daily basis. I'm involved with menu planning, which I don't do by myself. I also have a great staff that helps me with that. I have 4 other people on staff who assist me with that on a daily basis. My job is also to help supervise volunteers, which also my staff does. It is to get ready for each daily shift by getting the volunteers in place, finding out who needs what. And the key to this operation is that every day we have to be flexible. We have to be ready to take on whatever comes in the door, because volunteers may be at any different point in their lives. We deal with a lot of people who are suffering from poverty. We're dealing with people who are suffering from homelessness, and folks who are suffering from mental health issues. And so all of those things you have to take into account and do restaurant work. So it's kind of one big bag that's fun to fill every day.
So tell me, in what ways can volunteers help further Farm Cafe's mission?
Well, they're the base of what we do here. Our volunteers are the key because our labor supply is volunteers. So every day we rely on the volunteers who come in and fill the different positions, whether it's washing dishes, serving the food, helping out in the back with food preparation. So about 90 to 95% of our labor force is volunteers. But we also need the daily volunteers who can come in, who can help us, and who can also share that information. That's one of the best things for us, is word of mouth, and particularly the student population. That's where we rely on. I mean, we constantly educate, we give out information, but it really works best when one student says to another, you know, hey, did you know about Farm Cafe? Did you know we can eat there? I go eat there every day. It's really great. It's a good meal. And a lot of students are food insecure, and they're not going to talk about it because it's embarrassing for them in the culture they're in. I wish that it wasn't. I wish that people could be honest about these things. But it's important to us that those folks are able to get in here and have a place they can have a meal. And it's also great for the students because it's a good place to just come in and hang out.
I know the community is so thankful for you.
Well,
thank you for having us today, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Thank you.
You ever been to Farm Cafe?
I'm a huge fan of the Farm Cafe.
What's not to love, you know?
It is absolutely delicious, and it's right downtown, and yes, I love it.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, located here in Boone, the Blue Ridge Conservancy partners with landowners and local communities to permanently protect natural resources in the Northwest North Carolina.
At Blue Ridge Conservancy, we have 20,000 acres of stories to share. The Blue Ridge Conservancy is strengthening our communities by conserving the land that connects us forever. People like you, saving the places that we love. Join us.
I'm pleased to welcome Nikki Robinson, the Communications and Outreach Coordinator for the organization. So, can you tell us a little bit about the Blue Ridge Conservancy and the organization's mission?
Absolutely. So Blue Ridge Conservancy is a local nonprofit here in the High Country, and we work to protect undeveloped land from being developed. And these places have really special conservation value. They're places that are agriculturally significant, culturally significant, ecologically significant, or recreationally significant, or we're protecting those beautiful scenic ridgelines that everyone loves up here so much. So we have protected over 21,000 acres of these lands here.
Wow.
Since the beginning, and there are always new projects going on, and we really strive to connect people to the outdoors and to nature and to our local natural resources.
That's awesome. That's such a really, really good thing to keep track of. So what's the most rewarding part about being involved with the Blue Ridge Conservancy?
I love introducing people to new places, especially beautiful ones when we're out hiking or exploring a new mountain, or developing new public access trails and greenways and blueways and river access points. Really just hearing people say how much they love living here and how much they love the local environment is really rewarding.
That's awesome. Like, so cool. What are the requirements that people have to have in order to volunteer?
Well, we want everyone to be involved with their local nonprofit, and there really aren't any requirements, just loving your local community and the natural resources around you. We're a member-based organization, so we really rely on the community's support to do what we do. We're a really small staff. We only have 7 people to do all of this work, and sometimes it doesn't seem like enough because there's always more land to protect. But we really have an awesome community support base, and anyone who's interested in land conservation definitely can bring something to the table.
So tell me, do you guys hold any sort of community events where you invite people to come out and interact with you?
Yes, and I'm really glad you asked that because we have a big event coming up next Saturday on September 21st. It is the Blue Ridge Conservancy 5K race.
All right.
And it's the 20th year that we've hosted this running race. It's in Blowing Rock. And we start in downtown Blowing Rock, and the race travels up the historic Mayview neighborhood. And so when you get to the top, it's like a really challenging uphill climb. You get to the top, and you get these awesome, beautiful views of Grandfather Mountain, of Linville Gorge, and Pisgah National Forest. And then you run back down the hill, and you finish the 3.1 miles, and Stick Boy Bread Company is our title sponsor, and they literally hand you a cinnamon roll when you cross the finish line. So there's a lot of incentive to run.
Wow.
Not only do you get cinnamon rolls, you're supporting your local land trust, and you're running with other people who support our mission, and it's a really fun time.
That's so incredible. I think I'm gonna have to come out there next Saturday for what's not to love about running and a honey bun, Like, it doesn't get any better. So tell me, what kind of upcoming projects do you guys have in the works right now?
Well, we have a super exciting project here in the local community that you may have heard of. It's called the Middle Fork Greenway. It's our premier recreation project. And so this is the map of the Greenway. It's a project that's going to connect Blowing Rock to Boone naturally with a paved greenway trail, so you can get from one town to the other without having to get into a car.
Wow. And it looks like it stretches all the way from Boone all the way down, like through just everywhere that you think of along the way, from Tweetsea all the way up through Mystery Hill and all that. So
yes,
it's a really, really beautiful thing. It must be.
It's really awesome. It's not completed yet. There's only about a mile completed so far, but it runs along the middle fork of the New River.
Okay.
And so it'll be awesome access to river recreation, fishing and swimming and wading. And it's also going to protect the river as a natural green space buffer from Highway 321. And like I said, you won't have to get into a car. So hopefully it'll alleviate some of the congestion that you see on Highway 321. And then eventually when it's complete, it will connect to the existing Boone Greenway, and we'll have over 12 miles of continuous trail that you can recreate on.
That's awesome. Do you guys have any sort of time frame for when we might be able to experience this?
Yeah, so right now, like I said, we have about a mile done. It'll be about 6.5 miles when it's complete. And we are getting ready to build another 2 miles. So it'll be halfway done when those other 2 miles are constructed, and we're hoping to start construction next year on those 2 phases. But there's no real set time frame because greenways and construction, there's a lot of what ifs involved. And it's also a fundraising issue because this is a community-led project, and we're raising money to build the greenway. It's actually really expensive. It's going to cost about $12 million to build this greenway. So there are some funding gaps that we're trying to close, but it'll happen.
For sure. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely have to be back up here and take a look at it once you guys are all done. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for giving us the inside scoop on all the earth-friendly things that are happening at the Blue Ridge Conservancy. Up next, Laird Davis gives us a behind-the-scenes look at the Hunger and Health Coalition of Boone.
Hi, neighbor. I'm here at the Hunger and Health Coalition speaking with the volunteer coordinator, Seth Lejeune. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So what can you tell me about the Hunger and Health Coalition and what you accomplish here?
Okay, so a lot of people don't realize this, but Watauga County actually ranks 3rd in the state for poverty compared to its population. So we basically have a lot of services that we provide that are housed in this building to try and meet that need. We have something we call a fresh market, where we get a lot of fresh produce and bread and pastry items that we give out that we get donated from supermarkets and restaurants. You can pretty much name a place here in Boone in the High Country, we probably get donations from them. We have a food pantry where, again, we get donations from private citizens, but at the same time from the food bank in Winston-Salem, for anybody that's from the Triad area, kind of knows that organization. But then we also have something we call our food recovery kitchen, in which we get a lot of the same donations we receive from those restaurants and supermarkets. We have volunteers put together meals to give out to our clients. We also have a weekend backpack program for children, actually in every school in Watauga County, including Western Youth Network, and that's just basically for a lot of children, if they aren't nourished on the weekends. There's been studies done that usually it doesn't take until Wednesday of the following week for them to retain the knowledge that they were being taught on Mondays. And so we try to be able to kind of bridge the gap for food, by providing them food that they can take home with them on the weekends. And we also have another really big one that I almost forgot, is we have a free pharmacy for people who are uninsured in Ashe, Avery, and Watauga County. And in 2018, we actually distributed about $3.5 million worth of prescription medication with that service.
Wonderful. Very important work you guys do here. And how dependent are these events and really the operation of the Hunger and Health Coalition on volunteers and people donating their time?
Yep. They are incredibly important. We actually, for example, if anybody wants to volunteer, my email address is volunteeringhhc@gmail.com. But we have, for instance, an event that's coming in October, where we basically are the volunteers for the grill tent in the Valley Country Fair, and that needs 40 volunteer slots that have to be filled. In the summer, we have the Highland Games, where we literally direct parking for about 4 days, and there's 60 volunteer slots that I have to cover for that. And so there's kind of those types of events throughout the year. Those are my big ones, but then there's also minor ones here and there that have to be done as well, beyond just the operations that we do every day.
Well, that sounds like a really wonderful opportunity to give back to this community that we all call home.
Yes, it really is. And one thing I have really seen, like I said, I went to ASU, moved back here in May of 2018 to take this job. I'm what some people call a boonerang. But one thing I have really seen and been amazed by and been very humbled by is the generosity of this community. It's really amazing. It was a place that I called home and considered home when I was a student, and that hasn't changed since I moved back.
All right, and just one more time, where can people learn more and get in contact with you?
Sure. So I hadn't mentioned our phone number. Our phone number is 828-262-1628. But also my email address is volunteering, so that's volunteeringhhc, which is Hunger and Health Coalition, @gmail.com. That's the best way to get in touch with me.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Seth.
No problem. I really appreciate it.
That's all we have for this week's episode.
We'd like to thank you for joining us today. We really look forward to a whole new season of Neighbors here on AppTV.
Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, watch apptv.com, and check out our YouTube channel, AppTV, for more content. Until next time, bye neighbor.